Hey everybody, this is Sagan Bechtold. This is my U.S. Learning Log reflection. I'm just going to hit the key areas that we went over, including politics, population, economy, human trafficking, healthcare, and oral healthcare, and just kind of hit on what made me think differently and what kind of stood out to me. So let's get started. The first one was politics. So something I didn't realize before was just how much politics affect healthcare access. Um, Republicans and Democrats have different ideas about government size and funding, and those decisions can trickle down into whether people or not can actually afford healthcare and dental care. So that was the most interesting thing about that. Next, the US population. I found it crazy that we have 330 million people, making us the third biggest country in the world, and just kind of how diverse we are and spread out we are, and how if you are in an urban area or a rural area, how it kind of looks different on how you can access healthcare and dental care, of course. And then our economy. What shocked me the most was kind of just how much we spend on healthcare. And it stated that in 2023, the US actually spent $4.9 trillion, so nearly 18% of our economy. So it's just no wonder that, families are struggling with insurance costs, and it just really shows why so many patients feel like dental care is kind of out of reach for them. Next is human trafficking. These numbers are kind of scary, especially Texas. It was one of the higher ones that it happens in. I live in Amarillo, Texas, so that's right off of I-40. And off of I-40, I know it's a big issue just because of the easy access. So just kind of shows how we can maybe make a difference as healthcare providers, as dental care providers, just knowing what to look for and hopefully being able to recognize and spot signs of human trafficking and kind of help people get help if we can. Because obviously it is a nationwide and even a worldwide um, issue going on right now. Just more stuff on human trafficking. It's just kind of sad. A lot of cases go unreported because people are too scared to come forward. So and then US healthcare. So let's see, the US spent, or we already talked about how much they spent on healthcare, but basically, um, our technology is great and our specialty care is great, but our access is kind of uneven. So a lot of rural areas and low income families struggle, and it kind of just made me realize how there's still a bunch of gaps in our healthcare that we need to work on. And then as far as our oral healthcare goes, um, one thing that kind of stood out was how separate oral health is from overall health. A lot of families can't afford dental insurance, and usually that's one of like the first things they cut out when they're budgeting. So that kind of lines up with what we see in practice, that people skip their cleanings or wait until they're in pain before coming to see us because they can't afford it. And speaking of insurance costs, this is the cost for my family of four under my husband's insurance. This does include our health, our dental, and our vision. We pay around $8,800 a year, and the average family pays about $6,500 a year. So we're a little bit over average, but we do have a really good plan, I would say, or a pretty decent plan. So I think that kind of is a factor involved in that as well. And then, of course, we went over the impact of COVID-19 on everything, including politics. We were all kind of divided on what we were supposed to be doing, vaccines, masks, lockdowns, all that stuff. population, how population dropped, which we all kind of know. There's a lot of people that passed away, unfortunately, due to COVID. The economy was terrible. Just now trying to get better, still not the best. But, at least we're not fighting over toilet paper anymore. And then, of course, burnout was real in healthcare. Everyone was stretched thin, working really hard, even in dentistry, but especially all the nurses and doctors, just trying to keep everyone safe. And then the worldview, I'm not going to go into which, party I am, but I will say that overall, it kind of just made me see how um, oral health and overall health are connected. A lot of people think about just like prevention and cleanings, but this kind of just made me realize how politics and economy and all the other stuff all play into whether someone can make it into our chair, whether or not you're a Democrat or a Republican. So, some barriers for my patients. I noticed, of course, were cost, politics, where people live, insurance gaps, all that can make it harder to get the care that you need. And it reminded me that, a lot of people face challenges that go way beyond just making a dental appointment. For my future patient care, I want to be more aware of these issues when I'm with my patients, whether that's noticing signs of sex trafficking, being sensitive to money issues, um, just kind of changing my approach to where I can show more empathy and just have better support. And in closing, this project just gave me a bigger picture of what life is like in the US and how it affects health and dental health. And as a hygienist, I may just be like one player on the team, but I can still play a part in hopefully helping reduce barriers and making patients feel more seen and heard. Thank you.